Where I get this number? I'm at list 4.
And we're gonna need snuggles. But I also want steel production set up, so we're gonna get that done today. As far as the coal power goes, if I did it correctly, the time lapse should be complete at this point, and you should know that I used some supplementation techniques in order to get stuff done to a certain degree. But you don't automatically know that I have redecorated and redone the thing to a certain degree, so I'm just going to actually show you what I've done. So, I did a little bit of decorating. What do you think? I forgot to go into the awesome shop and get the stinking doodads to finish up the doodad thing. Also earlier, it said that there were frames dropping. I'm sorry if it's laggy, but it should be fine from what it said. I tried limiting frames on this game before, and I figured out very quickly this is not the game to limit frames on. It's frame limitations not automatically handled well, but I think that's more of a Unreal Engine problem than a Satisfactory problem. Floodlights, but floodlights requires quick wiring MAM and advanced steel products, which is right there. That's the problem. Okay, so we're going indoor lights instead. Well, we can also afford both. So,
Where did you leave your lizard doggos? What's in this storage container? Where did you put the essential components needed to save humanity? Do you wish there was text to prevent you from constantly taking the wrong turn? Disguise your struggles to comprehend the complexity of your surroundings with signs.
Nice to know. I think that I need this. If I go back down to organization. As far as this video, there are a few things that I wanted to cover that I didn't cover in the video itself. Mainly because this is editor Atlas 4 and there are a few different things that I actively have to get covered by an editor that are a little bit more complicated. First off, in this video, I'm not actually going to be able to make steel. This is just me floundering about. I meant to make steel in this video to the point where I think I even commented that I wanted to make steel and I couldn't. And I could basically just throw away this whole video, which I could. But I thought that my floundering was funny enough to actively speak and keep. So, if you like flounder, this is a good video for it, but this isn't really a good video for progress. So, understand that. There were a few things that happened on my birthday week, and one of them was that Satisfactory came up with a new update. Yay! Another one of them is that Caden Live decided to corrupt my project. Not yay! When it comes down to the problem, um, it's a wee bit give and take, but the general gist of it is I thought that Caden Live shut down, so I went into full backlog mode. I need to unbacklog mode it, and I need to actively speaking add in some combat content in between. So my current goal is to sit down and probably produce the content required to actively properly backlog it again so that I can start releasing the content faster so that you can get to the point where I've actually known about the update that happened to Satisfactory at that point in the video point of recording, not in editing, so that you can then see what I decided to do, which is just to transfer over to the experimental version in case you're feeling odd about it. What I will also state is that after that given form factor, I've kind of realized a few different things about some of the settings that I've been using inside of Caden Live. This freak show that I'm probably going to put a little avatar or picture of on the bloody thingamabob. The main problem that I'm running into is that I kind of get two choices. I can either concussion grenade myself every minute as the normalizer calibrates to no sound at all and then goes from no sound at all straight to a loud noise, at which point it decides to sonic boom whatever the crap is right next to it because it calibrates due to the previous frame, not the future frame, which is not pleasant. Or I could put it underneath the normalizer or the voice suppressor, because that's really what's happening. It's normalizing to the sound that's non-existent because the noise suppressor is suppressing that noise, or it's normalizing to the point where the background noise is with my voice. So it'll actively speaking produce a large amount of background static that the noise suppressor can't actively suppress because it's basically the same volume as my voice. So I've chosen to basically go back in time, back to Cave and Monkey, when it comes down to it, and just use a manual volume keyframing tactic so as to avoid needing to get a hearing check. I've also changed the volume that I'm editing my videos at, so if they're feeling a little bit quieter, that's the reason why. I've chosen to actually edit at volume 50%, my personal computer volume at 50%, instead of at what I used to edit it at, which is 25%. If the videos are too quiet for some reason, because I do have super hearing, I hear electricity in the walls, sounds like tinnitus, but I know it's not tinnitus because it goes away when the power goes out. It's very relieving, actually, in all reality, but it is definitely that in the background. It's definitely not gone right now, but that's my situation. I get to enjoy that. How do I know that it sounds like tinnitus? I don't. I always fear that I do. Because I get paranoid and I'm like, that tinnitus? Have I finally injured my ears? Is this like a point too far? And then the power goes out and it's just silence. I'm relieved. And the power comes back on. I'm glad because I can play video games again and all that stuff. Then my head hurts again. We're not gonna shut down the whole house just to actively speak and get some brain relief. I really feel like that I can just walk outside. Outside, no power, no sound. Okay? Electricity can't produce sound where it's not. Electricity isn't in the air in that way. Anyway, personal irritations aside, when it comes down to it, I've chosen to go back to Time of Caveman and just manually keyframe in the volume so as to avoid concussion grenadiness and also background sound obnoxiousness. To a certain degree, I don't think that the background sound obnoxiousness has fully been solved by this solution, so I'll try and figure out a better direction to go with. I'll try and figure out what I need to do. In the experimental version, Satisfactory, because the update wasn't a full update, it was an experimental update for Satisfactory, I'm not planning to use my V2 rig. I'm going to solve that by using something else. But I'm not planning to use my V2 rig, because functionally speaking, I don't want to crash. Because an experimental version is generally speaking, it's the most likely time that you're going to run into a corrupted save. And if I run into a corrupted save, I don't really know how to back up. So I'm using the default backup options in Steam. So I'm screwed. I'd have to look up a tutorial on how to actively back up your backup to get your save back on the internet. Which should be fine. We'll find out. Hopefully never. Either way, though, especially since I don't know whether or not I'm actually going to be able to recover the save file, because I'm not, like, recovering an extensive amount of these backups. I'm just deleting the previous one and then backupping one. Okay, I have one backup on here because I'm pretty sure it's just copied the whole game file on the computer. Okay, I'm willing to sit down and have a backup save that's like a few backup saves, but if it's literally the whole video game on a bloody file, I don't want to back that up. Sorry, I don't. I don't want to have multiple backups of that. That just seems a little bit obnoxious to have on the computer. One is understandable, it's like 1 or 2 gigabytes. It's not preferable. I'd prefer to just have the little tiny save file and just have 2 of them. But I'm going to have one. And hopefully it'll be enough. The music that I'm using in the background. I don't think that it's a problem or any operation. Again, it's from the video game I'm playing, which is the only reason that I'm using it. I'm not planning on using it inside of, like, Hollow Knight or something stupid like that. I'm just extracting the audio for playing Satisfactory. The reason why I'm good with that is multiple fold. First off, I'm using it inside of the space of Satisfactory. So functionally speaking, since most videos function both as entertainment and also as a form of marketing for the game that is free, due to the fact that I'm using that to improve basically marketing for the game, is it exactly supportive of the original creators that produced the music? Not extensively, but also not extensively not. It's not like I'm hurting them by doing this. Functionally speaking, they are getting a little bit of something out of it. It's just not as much as if I would purchase the music from a store or something. Which gets me over to the main point that I'm trying to bring up with this. If you've heard the background music, it's called Tier 1. And that's from Dream Thing, which is the music producer for Satisfactory from what I've been able to detect in my limited capacity. If you want to check out the music, I would heavily suggest it because functionally speaking, I have checked it out. It's on iTunes at least. And also there's a solid copy that I'm pretty sure is sold out at this point. I'm not going for the solid copy myself because my little cassette player, that's a little mobile thingamabob, has been broken since I was probably 10. If I recall correctly. Although admittedly it could just be because there's basically no audio devices that read via audio jacks. So that's its own bloody mess. Main point, if you want to check out the music that's in Satisfactory, go check out Dream Thing. That seems to be where they dump all their music. Sorry, drinking coffee. I just remembered I have to make a new to be continued. So I'm probably planning on using that inside this video if I figure out what I'm doing with it at that time. Why do I have to make a new to be continued? I don't really have to, but my mom stated that it's a bit confusing because I use the terminology, if I recall correctly. I don't know what happened inside of this current video because this is a pre-recorded blah 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 blah. And she thought that I was referring to what happened to make it a to be continued. Which that format of confusion is not one that I particularly wanted, because the whole point was it was just a non-referential, non-preferential, just plain out normal old to be continued screen that was pre-recorded. But what I will state is that it is a bloated to be continued screen anyway, so I was already suffering from it myself, and I kind of could know, or I could kind of tell myself that I needed to actively speaking change it out. And either way, I can add a fade to black. No, I can't. I just realized I can't do that. But Baby. I mean, I could add a little space with, like, a second's gap, but usually I try and cut it off at 29 frames. So a second and 29 frames so that it ends off with a full second. So that there's not a 0.1 frame at the final sector. Advantages of editing. Sitting down and thinking about those things. But I can definitely add a fade to black manually when the time comes. Main point, I'm making a new to be continued screen. I'm probably using it for this video, so if you get to see that, unicorn. Whee! Also, I really appreciated the comments I've been getting. I forgot to mention that. I've been really appreciating the comments you've been giving me. They've been really nice. Thank you. I'm gonna cut this off here. And if I remember to talk about another thing, I'll talk about another thing. But I keep on constantly dying. So I've died a lot more. Okay, so you can't configure these. They're just indoor lights. Without AI limiters, which I can just make real quick. That. Do that. Take it. Scratch that. Reset. That almost was a disaster because I didn't know what I was doing. Well, actually, no. I knew what I was doing, I just did it wrong. Okay. You see, what happened there was that this is the connection to the light, the output, and this is the connection to the power. So if I had connected or messed with that thing whatsoever, that would have messed with any light connected to my entire grid. This is this, which should just make this into an iPad. Or green, for instance. Which I am partial to. And you'll notice, if I, for instance, place street light out here, connect to the average grid, too, because that's just a series of things around. Especially since I'm about to probably use this. This is a normal thing. This is if I, for instance, connected it right back to our little friend here, the light control. See this guy. Well, that should be controlling both of them. Gotta be honest, I don't know what happened there. Ah, it just needed to be updated. Okay. This works for indoors right now. Also, station, this little sign, and this guy here. Okay. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to do that, and then convert that. That looks good. Okay. So now I have the home icon all set up, nice looking and such. But I don't want to, like, go for another background. Let's see. Yeah. Now let's go that one. You twitched my arm. I guess I gotta do it. Anyway, I should have wall stuff. Yeah, in quantity. So, I'm just gonna go over to the coal factory and set up the coal factory's final little bits here and there. And you'll get to see what it looks like. Which I definitely didn't take too long getting to, even though I probably shouldn't have even had a problem with that. Yeah. So this is the coal factory as it looks right now. I added a few little doodads here and there, due to the fact that there was just a bunch of empty space and it kind of needed to be filled. Just thought that it'd look nice and stuff, you know? But of course I didn't have the angled walls, or whatever you call these. Yeah, ramp walls, whatever. The point is, I didn't have them because I was worried that they'd have some sort of fun next to it, because some of these do. And I wanted to make sure that if there was a fun, that you guys could see it. And let's go ahead and click. Boom. That should make it look a little bit nicer on that front. Not automatically a solution for every little doodad and part, but I can't really do that overworkingly anyway. These are 4, so let's just do that. Let's make that look a little bit better. I made a little nook for the temporary supplies that I needed to have over here. I also increased the amount of coal generators per assembler, because each one could supply 3 from my own calculations. And since they could each supply 3, I gave each of them 3 to supply throughout the basic, and of course, in it. I don't think I need to explain that too much. It's I thought it'd be nice. If you're dealing with shooting these off into distance, remembering to make sure that you're hitting what you aim at is kind of crucial. Anyway, so you might be wondering why I didn't just build it down there. And to be completely and totally honest, since coal power isn't really all that much, I probably should have just built the factory down into the void, because I can. In fact, if I remember correctly, there should be a little friend right here. Yeah. As you can see, I can build all the way down to this point, which would by function mean that I wouldn't need. I'm just glad to have the stinking coal factory done. The coal generator done, sorry. I'm trailing off. But I wouldn't need to use pumps as much. And I wouldn't need the stinking monstrosity next to my coal generator, which, if you don't know what I'm referring to as the monstrosity, trust me, you'll figure that one out soon enough. If you haven't seen it yet, then you're about to. If you're from the future and you've seen it already, I'm sorry. I should have dealt with it by then, I guess. But generally speaking, what I'm referring to as the monstrosity is the water solution, which is an attempt to add a water tower, to be clear. It's just exactly as I said, an attempt. But it is just that it is the monstrosity. In my well-built, nice-looking, gear-themed coal power generator. I have this Ford debacle powering it with water. It is not a preferable state of affairs. It can look better, but water tends to be the noodle fest anyway. So I don't know how much time I want to put into trying to make that look better when it's going to functionally not. It's not really designed to. Okay, give me a second. Either way though, that's the coal factory for now set up. And all cleaned up too. I do kind of want to add some roofs, but I don't think I have the ability to do that right now, so I'll do that later. But the steel factory is a priority. I do want to do that as soon as I can, and I only have 2 hours for that. For whatever reason, things just took a while, I guess, today, but either way. The steel factory is a priority for multiple different reasons. For instance, while yes, this is a pure node of sulfur, because of the lack of developed belt systems, I can't really use it as a pure node in that way, which is of course limiting my capacity. Like this, if I had the level 3 belts, I could probably divide off of at an earlier point even. But I need steel for that, if I know my stuff. Which I don't, in this case. I think I know my stuff. I'm pretty sure I need steel. I'm not 100%. But I think so. But since I sat down and prioritized full power beforehand. What the flip is that? That's gone now. It irked me. Oh, I don't have a lot of stuff over here. Did I not hook this up? I did not. Although at the opposite end of it, that might actually be a good thing just as much as it's annoying. So that means that I can just do a quick little bit of work here. And actually hook this up in a increment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to check. What did I do as... Okay. I didn't do anything. Perfect. Okay, and these two are iron nodes. Iron, coal. Iron, coal. This means that when I transfer it over to a boundary, it'll be a little bit more of a natural transition. But for nowsies, what I need is some iron and some coal. Oh, so I have a couple of steel ingots. How many of those do I need for a steel pipe? Not that much. If I go over here, and if we had black powder, I could have just made that. But unfortunately, somebody didn't think ahead and bring black powder, so we're in a bit of a tight spot. Irritated grumbly noises, that's how long I need to think ahead. Okay, irritated grumbly noises. If you're expecting more than that, then unfortunately I have to inform you that that was not going to happen. Although some steel beams would probably be quite nice, but for now. I do want to check the situation as far as our alternative route goes for coal. So I'm going to go ahead and actually change up which line is connected to what, because I can do that. It lived. Point is not to have this extensively nice thingamabob. Is to quickly test whether or not the coal will get from one point to the other. So, you think that's enough of a dive trail? I think so. Although under technicality, I could just go over here's about, I'd say, and a yoinkish. See about that dive trail right there. We're gonna see whether or not it can go through the fader line from that point to that point. Pretty live here. Looks like it's going pretty well so far. Okay. It completed the full path. That's a functioning line. Black powder's not made there, it's made in here. So okay. Only I had a Nublisk detonator. I don't have that, which means I need to go back home anyway, which means I could have just used natural black powder. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Okay, back. Got the Nautilus detonator. I have 2 steel pipes that I just crafted up because I could, and we go over to nutrients. Nutrients. I need 25. I got 50 to 40 stacks that I can take from. I'm gonna take from the 40. Let's research that real quick since I can. Confirm.
Research shows potential for processing planetary nutrients for pioneer benefit. Nutritional
Okay.
inhaler research available.
Isn't that the exact same that I've got? Like, that's literally the same as what I've got. I mean, I have the supplies for that, I think. So I might as well kind of unlock it, but also I don't actually have the supplies for it. I don't have enough burley nuts. I lack the burley nuts to get the job done. Okay. Oh yes, and there are a few alternative recipes that I have. Hard drives wise. A few of them I might actually, like this. These two I don't really see that good of a use for right now. This actually is useful for some things. And that's basically the same as what I've got right now. But the white concrete is useful for something. But this, I'm gonna rescan that. Ooh, this is actually known for being a pretty good recipe to have for screws. But I don't really have the infrastructure for this kind of recipe right now. This produces 3 per minute versus the existing current that I have 5 per minute. And I bet that one, boys. That one, that's a pretty bad one, but I do know that this is very useful. So it actually does make some sense to have that, especially since later on, screws kind of are a bit of a problem anyway. There is wood to coal. Don't know how to exactly do that. I do know that this thing apparently is a faster rotor thing, but I'm already being buried in rotors, so I don't really see a good reason to do that. So this is also another one that I'm going to refresh. That's not too bad. That's kind of bad. So we're going to keep that the way that it currently is. That could be useful. Like for cable production, 120 per minute versus the existing, which is 30 per minute. Yeah. Yeah, that actually does make sense. It's weird, but also this makes sense. So, let's give and take. Better to wait off on that one. This one, definitely, I'm just gonna do that real quick. I feel like I saw that listing before. Did that just... Whatever. Whatever. I'm gonna go get to going and getting and going. I'm gonna get going. The reason why we went down that whole back and forth, because I'm distractible and I wanted this gone first. So if you'll excuse my idiocracy. Why isn't that thing to me? Why can't I have the things themed that are like cool things? So if I go over here, I do remember there being something annoying that needed some gluing. Okay, so there's currently a little coat here.
Your waves lap at our shores. When will you land?
I know when I'll land. Production. Eventually these rocks will despawn, and we will be able to see what the heck we're doing, but unfortunately that will take a little bit of patience, which I don't automatically have in spades. So we're going to start up at least designing some foundations around the full node. And the particles go. They're causing lag that is not necessary. I gotta leave and come back, don't I? You must have 4K graphics. Where? This idiot? This guy. You must have particles all the time. You must.
not our computer set on fire and making noise. Don't care. We do.
All jokes aside, they've actively optimized this thing extensively. It's not that much of a big deal, but it is not something I particularly want to deal with right now. It's just a lot of stinking unnecessary physics operations that just causes irritation. The point of things like debris and stuff is to actively improve the experience, not to extensively bog up your screen with things that you don't automatically want to see. In short, bog up the screen with the unnecessaries. Unnecessaries? It's the unnecessaries. Knowing this game that there might actually be an option or something like that to get rid of debris. Which would render my complaints null, but at the opposing end of it, I shouldn't automatically need to get rid of debris in entirety in order to actually alleviate this issue. What is... I have a solution. So I reloaded the game. And that's better. Well, actually, I better not run out of stinking concrete before I get my stinking stuff started, and that's gonna be stinking stupid. Oh yes, let's go make the still factory next year after I'm done reflecting all the concrete I used to make that whole pile on that you're not even gonna see for most of the stinking playthrough. Look pretty, okay? There are more intelligent decisions that I've made. Maybe I want to make a line of boundaries. I have an amazing amount of roaches. If only I had brought them! Starting off with, of course, the age-old box stack. I do like my box stacks. These. But I don't know how much I'm gonna get done today. I think that I'm actually gonna have to cut out pretty soon. Sections. What does the boundary look like? Boundary definitely ain't fitting underneath this one. But the sorting for a foundry might. Not really extensively. Okay, this. This might have to move. Either the foundries have to move, or this cool base I set up. I know which one I'm choosing. I did want to choose that one. Yep, this is a pretty good. Yeah, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up properly with some foresight. And as soon as I get that, this will look awesome. course, I don't have silica. Let's say like. Of course, I don't have all that stuff. Let's say like. This will do for now. I'm gonna get this all nice and set up. I'm gonna set up steel later in the video. This video is probably the majority actually just throwawayable, except for the sign thing. So that's very useful. I'm gonna stop recording and let a better recorded version happen.
To be continued.
Tune in next time to see what happens next inside of this video recording playlist thingamabob. And if you liked the video or disliked the video, hit the buttons accordingly. If you personally subscribe to the channel over this video, welcome to Red. If you wish to comment, I'm usually going to reply to comments, even if it's a relatively annoying response, because I, functionally speaking, can't sit down and half-verse this kind of crap, because I actually do want the comments. I've been trying to interact a lot with the bloody comments. Don't die is no fun. Toodles!